So without further ado, we will turn it over to Leah and Amanda to discuss Kaltura video quiz hacks.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the nod, Amy. I saw that. So we're going to talk about Kaltura video quiz hacks. And so I sort of hesitate about that name because hacks is like sometimes overused, I think. But it sort of is a hack today, these things I'm going to show you. So that's good. So anyway, I'm Leah Rosenberry. I'm an IT training specialist, and Amanda Jones is with me in the chat. She's going to be handling the Q&A and sort of throwing things my way if there's anything that we need to show you live on the screen. But Amanda's an instructional designer, and we do this training quite often. And so now we're going to give you a little bit of a live taste of it. What we're going to do is going to show you some different quizzes, show you a little bit behind the scenes of how to create one. We don't really have much time in 30 minutes, but that's okay. We're going to share the link with you so that you can register for the class. We have several coming up, and we would love to have you. So on we go. So what's a video quiz? So a video quiz is a series of 4 types of questions that you can choose. You can do multiple choice, you can do true and false, you can do, well, actually true or false, or any binomial, yes, no, true, false, any 2 choices that you can put in there, you can do for true and false. Short answer, and then also reflection points. They embed right on top of the video. Your original video is not let's just say it this way. Your original video is preserved, and so a copy is made, and then the quiz is just sort of laid over top of that. And so you can use video quizzes for high stakes things, for low stakes things. Depending on kind of your setup, your class, the level of it, the kind of best uses that I think I would use if I were an instructor are more the low stakes things. Use it in ways that can kind of save you time in other areas. But it's still possible to do it for high stakes. So you could use it for even for a test if you wanted to, depending on what type of material you had and things like that. You could use it for weekly quizzes. You can have students solve problems during demos. I always tell people I'm a recovering math teacher. And so that would be a great one for me. In fact, I'm going to show you an example of that. You can also use it for low stakes things too. And this is what I was talking about as far as kind of like my best uses for it. You can literally use it to force, in quotes, students to watch an entire video. So you could have a video and put a quiz question at the very end that wasn't even a quiz question necessarily. A reflection point is one of those question types I told you about. That literally is just, it sort of is a question, it looks like that it pops up, but there's nothing that the student has to do to respond. It's literally just something for them to reflect on. So if I created a video, I could put a reflection point at the very end. I could set my settings so that they could not scrub forward in the video just to get to the question. And so in some ways that would force them to watch the entire video. Now, could they get up and go make a sandwich or go check the mail? Of course they could. But hopefully they wouldn't do that. It's a little better than just allowing them to just drag forward, which I have to admit I might have done in a class or 2 myself. So you could also use it for quick checks for understanding. You could put well, actually, I'll show you an example of that, so that's good. And you can also use them for participation points or attendance, and I'm going to show you those too. So I am going to just jump right in and show you some examples. I made shorter examples so that it was easy to show you, but you'll get the idea from what the examples are, but of course we would do longer, you know, more specific ones whenever you're doing it on your own. So first, let's look at a quiz for attendance or reminders. So one of the things that we got tons of questions on during this last couple of months with the remote teaching was about taking attendance in Zoom. And so people were worried about capturing it in the chat and kind of doing all these things. And so one way you could do it is you could create a quiz, a short quiz, that maybe included stuff from that day that you wanted students to remember. And so I'm just gonna play this. I just have my, when you first launch a video quiz, they'll get a welcome screen if you choose that. So I said, yes, I want the welcome screen. I just hit continue. There we go. And so it's just, you know, a little screen that says what class it is. And then it's going to be on the next slide, just some assignments and reminders and things like that, things I would have told them in class. So I could use this to set them to kind of like make sure they see those reminders and everything like that. I am going to click and drag. There we go. There we go. And so there are just some reminders, you know, talk about, don't forget about the quiz this week, what they're doing next week, that kind of thing. And then I just put a question at the very end and said, type your name to verify that you attended class on June 3rd. I mean, could they, you know, cheat, if you want to call it that, or do something like that? They could. Some ways to prevent it, you could make it so that it was only open during a specific time in class, or something like that. But the reason I love it as far as using a video quiz to do it is if they put their name in here, then you can look at analytics later and you'll have that nice list of students. Yes, I can zoom in here. There we go. That one's completed, but I'll do that next time. Thanks, Amanda. And so then whenever they get to the end, they just click submit. Now it'll start right over again and it says done. On this one, this is not really for a score, right? This is literally just a way for me to quickly capture attendance. And so I didn't do a score on it. I can tie it directly to the gradebook, so it'll go straight to the gradebook and say who completed it. So that'll be a way to capture that attendance, like I said, just sort of automatically.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about like when they would do that during your Zoom session
Sure.
if you're having them do it live?
I mean, you could do it anytime you wanted to. You could do it at the beginning, you could do it at the end, you could leave it, you could put it in Canvas so that they do it anytime during the hour or however you want to set it up. So did you have something more specific in mind, Amanda?
No, I just had someone asking when
Gotcha.
when they would have
Okay.
them do it, but you put it in chat and just give them, 2 minutes to do it at the beginning or the end of class.
Absolutely. So you could do it in chat, like Amanda said, that would be fine. I mean, could they take the link and give it to somebody outside of class? Of course they could. But it's still a pretty good indicator if you want to think about it like that. Another example, so you could use it for something like guided practice. So this video, what I did was I just did a logarithmic equation. I'm going to say continue. And I literally just solved an equation. Let me turn this down. There we go. And so I'm solving an equation on here. I'm kind of narrating in the background. They can follow along and kind of learn from what I'm doing. I'll get to an important step. That's what this first question is. And then I made this first question a reflection point. I don't want them to answer anything. I just want them to be aware of something that I'm going to tell them. And so right here, we were able to combine the two logarithms because the logs had the same base if they don't. So it's just a way to draw attention to something that you want to make sure that they know. They don't have to answer. They just have to click continue. And so it'll go through the rest of the example. I'm just going to go ahead and drag it over. And then it'll go, and then this is one that I want them to solve. So I should have stopped it before then. So this is one I want them to solve. So I could put the equation up here too as well so that they would have it, but I want them to type their answers in right here and then click save. Again, so I just have to type something and then click save. It takes a little second and then I'm just going to drag to the end. They always have to drag to the end and then make sure that they submit. On this one, again, I did not show the score. When it is an open-ended question, Kaltura can't grade those automatically. And so for that, I wouldn't want to show the score. I would want to go into analytics afterwards, see their answers, and then score them based on that. So again, it depends on how much time you want to take. what kind of, what kind of learning experience it is, as far as, is this just a little bit of extra practice? So I might want to put the answers in there, that kind of thing. So you can make those choices as you go along. So that was one that I did for guided practice. Another cool one I thought of, I just grabbed this chemistry lab safety video just off of YouTube. So you can bring videos over from YouTube if you want to. And what I did for this one, I put some, you could put questions in. Watch whenever it hits one. I can put questions in to highlight certain parts. So whenever it gets to this first one, it'll just take a second. So it says, read the instructions carefully before starting. So I can say, I will always read the instructions carefully before performing an experiment, and I can say true or false. And then, so I did that. So you could do that throughout for the things that you want them to agree to, whether it's safety. I remember getting those things whenever I was in school there, or actually my kids too. They would bring home this thing and it'd be like, they'd make you sign it, they'd make the parents sign it, that they were gonna be safe in the lab. I almost guarantee you my kids did not read those things. But anyway, so this is a way to make it a little bit more fun, I guess. So I'm gonna say true for this one. And then it'll start. Now let me see if it'll let me drag past. I don't know if I made my settings correctly so that it could go, if I could just skip past a question or not. There we go. Yeah, maybe it lets me. And so then whenever I got to the end of it, I did this. That's not what I did. I did this question. By typing my name, I am verifying that I have watched this entire video and agree to all chemistry lab policies. And so then they can put their name in there or whatever. Now, I'm not positive that that's legally binding the way that it would be whenever you get them to sign it, but it still might be a good idea just to give them that visual and things like that. You guys probably, I'm sure people who teach different, scientific subjects with labs, and you guys have all kinds of procedures. And so this would be a way to make sure that they're actually watching those procedures before they come in. All right, so I'm gonna drag this one to the end. You always have to drag it to the end and make sure that you submit. That one's gonna go again. I'm just gonna pause. Okay, last one. Actually, is this the last one? Yeah, this is the last one. So this is one, we have a sort of a power user, we call her. Jenny Shooks teaches statistics. And so she does her video quizzes and of her lectures, and then she uses the video quizzes, questions and answers and things that like they're in there to drive the live classes. So I'm just going to hit play on this one. She let me borrow one, and see, you can actually even customize this language on here. So she said, welcome to our virtual lecture video. Canvas chat will run live during our class from 8 to 8:50, so they can pause and get help. So the way she set hers up is, she does her lecture like this. She sets it up so they can ask questions live while they're doing it, while they're going over it, which I think is really, really kind of cool. And so I'm just going to click continue. And so she goes through her whole thing here, and I think it's going to let me, yeah, it's going to let me click and drag. But she has different types of questions that she puts in there. It's coming up right here right now. There we go. I'm just going to choose one. I'll probably get it wrong. She'll see my answers and think I'm not a good student. I'm trying to wait for it to get out from behind that question so I can grab the, nope, still didn't get it. So I can, there we go. I'm going to try and drag past this. I don't know if it's going to let me. Yeah, I guess it let me. Yeah, it did let me. So anyway, so that's the idea. She uses these all the time. She makes a new one almost for every lecture. She does live lectures also, but she uses that to be like the thing that they're going to go over. And then another instructor showed me one too, where she'll do her lectures ahead of time, and then she puts a question at the end that says, what is the muddiest point in this video? Like, what is your question from this video? So she makes the students watch that ahead of time. And then whenever it's time for class, she goes into the analytics and she gets those questions, and then those are the questions that she uses to answer live during the class. So I'm going to show you an example of analytics. I can't show you that one because it has student data, so I'm just going to use one that Amanda created for our video quiz class. So here's our video quiz. I'm just going to scroll right down here. I'm going to go actions and then analytics. Now there won't be much detail here because of this quiz is actually embedded outside of Canvas. But when it's embedded inside of Canvas, your students are signed in, they take it, you'll catch everything. Like, it'll pick up everybody, especially if you hook it to the gradebook, which I can show you in a minute if you want to see that. So you can see the analytics like player impressions, how many played it, how many unique viewers, and so forth. There's more information down here. But what's really important that I wanted to show you, you can have a list of quiz questions, or right here, you can have a list of the quiz users, and then I can go right here to export to CSV. And so the instructor who uses the muddiest point, she would actually go to the analytics here, use the CSV to export that list of questions, and then she could take that list of questions, you know, divide them up into similar topics, however she wanted to, and then that's how she would run those live lectures. So anyway, really, really good way to make sure they're watching something, hopefully, and but ahead of time, and then also gathering those questions so that it's easier to sort of like lump them into categories. A lot of times 5 students will have the same question, ask it in a slightly different way. If you know all those questions up front and you can kind of put them together into one, you can hit all those topics at the same time and be much more efficient, both for you and for your students. So we love that. So that's what I wanted to show you as far as like give you some examples and show you analytics. So the next thing I can do, I can show you a little bit about how to do a quiz. And I'll just do this really quickly because like we said, a half an hour couldn't cover it all, but please come to our video quiz class. We would love to have you. And we'll also share the learning path. So even if you can't come to the, you don't want to come to the video quiz class, there's instructions on there. You can totally do it on your own. Yeah, I'm going to show you just one tiny thing and you'll be able to do it. So I'm just going to go to Canvas somewhere. There we go. I'm going to go to Canvas. I'm going to my media. And so to create a video quiz, all I do is I go over here to add new. Now, this is Canvas Day, so I'm pretty sure you're all Canvas users, but you could also do this in Media Space if you wanted to. So you can get to My Media from either Canvas using the LTI, right, or through Media Space. You can think of it like 2 doors to the same place, right? Either way, you're going to the same place. You're going to see the same media. So here I am in My Media. I'm going to go Add New, and I'm going to go Video Quiz. So what Kaltura does for me in My Media is it pulls up the stuff that I can put a video quiz on top of. And what that usually means is all it really takes out is the video quizzes, because I can't put a video quiz on top of a video quiz. So that's all that disappeared from my list. I'm going to take my I called it a quiz, but it's really not a quiz, but I don't want to be, what do you call it? I don't want to be, oh, we can do the Beatles for sure. So this is now a music class and we're going to do a quiz on top of We Can Work It Out. Okay, so on the left-hand side here, I have all of my settings that I can use. So first I have details. The default name of a quiz is just the name of the video and then dash quiz. So you can change that however you want to, make it a nice name for your, for the way you know, your naming conventions in Canvas, whatever. I can decide to show a welcome page or not. I love the welcome page. It just sort of alerts students that it's going to be a quiz and not a regular video. I guess they wouldn't, maybe they won't walk away if they read that. And then this is where the default message is just, in this video, you'll be given a quiz, good luck. But again, just like Jenny Shook did, you can edit that and make it something else, whatever fits your situation. And then you can allow download of questions, and then you can also show instructions. So I'm just going to close that. For scores, I can choose not to show scores. I did that for several of those. Remember that I did that for attendance because it's not really a scores type thing. I did that whenever there was an open-ended question because I want to look at that work and that solution and assign them a grade on my own. So it's totally up to you whether you do show scores or not. If you do show scores, you have the option to include answers or not. So if it is a before class thing, sort of a flipped learning model, I think that's great. I think then it would be a good idea maybe to include answers so that they could actually, take the quiz as they go along, and then they could learn something from that. Because you'll see in just a minute that you can also put a rationale or a why in there. So not only can they see the correct answer, they can see why that's the correct answer if you put that in there, which is a really good thing. So that's the options for scores. Now, experience, these are my most favorite ones. So I can allow them to change answers if I want to. That means that if they learn something further on in the video and they're like, oh no, that means that, the first question I did was wrong, this lets them go back and update that first question. And then you can either allow them to skip, or you can say do not allow skip. And then if I choose do not allow skip, and the allow skip or not skip means allow them to skip a single question. So can they skip a question or can they not skip a question? The next thing, if I choose do not allow skip, then I can also choose no seeking forward. And that's what's not going to let them just drag it over to the next question. Again, if it's some sort of review and you feel like they know it and you're fine with them clicking and dragging, then you don't have to click no seeking forward. If you do want to make sure they watch the whole thing, or you want to try and make sure they watch the whole thing, then click no seeking forward. And then Amanda and I always joke about this. There's alert text here. Seeking was disabled on this video, but you can actually edit that and say, bahaha, nice try, or something like that if you wanted to. All right. For right now, I'm going to uncheck no seeking forward, because when you create a quiz, you can preview it, and I want you guys to see what that preview looks like. So once your settings are chosen, I can click on this right here, this panel, this icon, and I can close this details panel. And so now I just have a bigger view of my screen. And so now I'm just going to start inserting questions. The first thing you have to do is decide in your video where you want to have a question. Okay, so if this is a music class, and Amanda might have to help me with the music type questions here, but if this is a music class, I'm going to go ahead and just use the scrub head to move over. I can either do that and move over, or I can go ahead and hit the play button and play it to the point that I want it. Okay, I'm going to go right there. And so then I can say add a question, and I'm going to make this multiple choice, and I'm going to say, which Beatle is this? And so you can do that. You can add up to 4 answers in the multiple choice, so I can add 2 extra answers. You always want to put the correct answer in the first position, but then you can shuffle it after that. So you want to make sure you want to put the correct answer with the green check, and then again you can shuffle it. So, oopsie. I'm just going to say Paul. Okay, I'm missing one. Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Ringo Starr. Who?
George.
Jeez. How embarrassing. I'm a Beatles lover. Okay. And so I can, again, I can click up here to shuffle, or I can just click and drag if I want to shuffle them around. And so up here is where I was talking about, thank you, Rob. Up here is where I can talk, it's a little light bulb, and I can put a hint up here. Here's a hint, ask your mother. Okay, or I could put a why the correct answer. This was not a really good question for why. But you can put a rationale in there. Then whenever they're reviewing, they can see why, like I said, why a specific answer is correct. So once I save that, you'll see like a little cube sort of jump off the quiz and land on my timeline. So it goes like that. And so there is my first question. I know, see, Pierce, you're exactly right. And so again, you can either click and drag or you can just play to find the next place and on from there. I'm just gonna click and drag to show you the different types. So there's another one, I'll pause it there, I'll add a question. True and false, kind of self-explanatory. This is that reflection point, right? So you can actually do something here. Whether it's something you want to remind them of, like pay attention to this next part, we're going to be using this in future whatevers, or remember we saw this in class, or whatever like that. You can put something here. Again, the reflection's the one that they see it and then they click continue. That's all they get to do. I'm going to just say delete on this one. And then I'm going to show you one more, is open-ended. And that's what open-ended looks like. I'll just show you what it looks like. You just put a question there, you click save. Again, you have the light bulb if you want to, okay? So I'm going to click done only because we're so close to done. Oopsie. Oh, cancel.
Leah,
Save.
there's a question in the chat about formatting the question.
You can format.
So
I do.
no
I don't.
math ability either.
Right. Well, I did. So anyway, so I have not been able to, somebody asked this last week too. I don't know if it's the same person. So somebody, somebody asked about formatting math and things like that. And so I looked everywhere I could find on the Kaltura website, the internet, couldn't find anything. I submitted it to Kaltura as a how-to, but because it's a how-to, it'll be lower priority. They won't answer right away. But as soon as they do, I'll put it in Kaltura users group. And if you, Amanda, if you can get that name, I will make sure and follow up. And I have the other person's name that was in the session too.
I'm not seeing that in chat. So Amy, if you wouldn't mind sending that to me, that would be great. Or whomever brought that up. I didn't see who unmuted. I'm bad with voices.
Thank you. Okay, so anyway, so then whenever you're done, you just click done. It's all saved and ready to go. You can preview it, which you should do. But we don't have time today, or you can go back to the media page. Wade Schumacher, thank you. And so I just go back to the media page. Now I have my nice quiz. If I want to edit it again for whatever reason, I can go back to actions and then edit. And then you have to do one more little edit thing. There's actually a launch editor button. So this takes you to like the details and the different things that you can edit about a video. But if I want to edit the video quiz, I have to click launch editor and go in that way. All right, let me go back to my slide really quickly just to show you one more thing. So those learning paths, and Amanda's going to put these in chat for you. So the Canvas learning path is the one. We also have MediaSpace users learning path, but the quiz stuff is on the Canvas learning path. I guess it's on both, whichever. We also have a quick start guide for students. If you copy course forward, good question. If you copy a course forward and the quiz is embedded in the course, it will stay, and the analytics, ooh, I don't know. Amanda, do you know?
So the sorry, my brain just like fried a little bit. If it's embedded in an assignment, a page, something like that, it will carry over. The analytics won't wipe from the video overall, so you'll still be able to see all of your old analytics if you follow the process that Leah showed you in order to access it, but you can always link. I have to think that the gradebook link would still work. It'll just populate the students that are in that course. But we have never copied a course to actually test that, but I haven't heard anything otherwise.
And the other thing too, Carmen, if you didn't want that to happen, you could copy, like you would either just, you could make a copy of it, or you could, I'm trying to think how to make, like, how to sort of break that link so that only the analytics for that class would be in that class. I know that's what you're trying to do. I'll follow up with that one too. We'll figure that out. Getting a piece of paper. Okay, got it. What else? Anybody else? And Amanda, did you see any questions I need to answer? I know we're at time.
I just have one that's open here. Oh, so that's a Canvas related one from Heidi in the Q&A. And Kate Morgan asked really early, again, that's a Canvas question. Do the students know where you pull the information from for analytics? And the answer, as far as we can figure out, is no. So the only thing that's sitting open in the Q&A right now are Canvas questions. So if you have more Kaltura questions, please feel free to drop those in, but I think we got them all. There was one, Wade also asked if you can, if the shuffle on the multiple choice questions would shuffle it for every student. And I do want to draw attention to the fact that it doesn't work like a Canvas quiz, but it will shuffle the order for you.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good question. Oh, Judith, I don't know about that. And maybe Kim does. And Kim, sorry to throw you under the bus just in case. So when Judith says when she checks Canvas Analytics, only the students' email addresses come up and not their names. Is there a way to make it be their names?
Yeah, I was not familiar. I've not seen their email addresses come up. I see them by name. So I'm going to toss that. Okay, thanks, Amy. I was going to toss it to Kate, but Amy jumped in there. So it's kind of hot potato here. I have not seen the email addresses. I only see the names. So I'm wondering if that's something maybe to pass through the service desk and maybe have them take a look at it. I'll see if I can do a quick search here as well.
Kim's always doing the searching in the background. Well, thank you, everybody. And we really do hope you'll come take our Canvas quiz class. It's sort of fun. It is, anyway, I like it. But, and like I said, the thinking out the box part, thinking outside of the box part with quizzes, like it can be totally low stakes and fine. It can be something small to make your life easier, like I said. Maybe not for attendance if you don't want to, you know, if you're, because it, like I said, it could be shared. And so, you know, you might not want to do it that way. But it is an easy way to kind of sort of do some participation points, some accountability type stuff and things like that. So I think I will turn it back over to Kristen unless somebody else has a question.
All right, thanks, Leah and Amanda. So that's going to wrap up for this week, and we will see everybody hopefully next week.